Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Halloween special of the Respawn podcast. My name is Joey Olberding.
My name is Colin Rhoads.
My name is Lydia Donaldson.
And hello, Lydia Donaldson, or just Lydia, or Lyd, many ways to call you.
Lodio as well.
Yes, a plethora of nicknames. Welcome into the podcast, the spookiest podcast out there, I might add. We are the first podcast to ever have a Halloween special. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's very unique.
Yeah, I looked into it. We're breaking numbers. We're already raising the bar for all our competition.
Have you seen a podcast with a Halloween special? No.
No.
Of course not.
So it is Halloween, and you will be listening to this on Halloween or after. And it's the spookiest time of the year. So I have to ask, Lyd, is Halloween good?
I love Halloween. I think Halloween is great.
Because I know somebody on this podcast who's not as partial to Halloween, Colin.
I hate Halloween. Me and Lyd are gonna go at it this podcast.
All right, we are going to turn this into a political debate because I'm pretty neutral on Halloween, so I need you guys to sway me here.
Okay, so I'll go first.
Please.
Halloween sucks. Okay, it's like spicy food. All right, why would you eat something for pain? It's like, why am I watching a scary movie if I want to be scared? Like, I don't want to be scared. Being scared is in pain. Why would I want to be in pain?
Okay, interesting argument. But this is about the holiday as a whole. So trick-or-treating, is that part of the pain for you, or do you like that?
I don't like dressing up.
You don't like dressing up?
No, I think part of it is that I've never had... So me and my mom both share a deep hatred for this holiday. I text my mom every holiday or every Halloween. She texts me every Halloween like this holiday sucks. She actually called me last night and she was like, this holiday is so stupid. I just had to return all of my costumes because they all sucked and this is so dumb. And I was like, I hear you, Mom. I hear you.
I have a question. Do you like seeing other people's costumes, or is that just like not fun for you?
That's actually that's a fine question. I do sometimes, but it's like 50-50. It depends. Like, is the costume good? Then, like, maybe I'll like it, But a lot of the times the costumes are not good, and they're just cringy.
One time I was the Pokemon Meryl?
Yes.
I was that for Halloween when I was little. That was probably my worst one.
Yeah, when I was 3, I was a Snorlax.
That's so cute.
Yeah. The thing was, the costume was a bit big for me though, because big Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So whenever I was trick or treating, I was constantly falling whenever I was walking around. So I had a bunch of bumps and bruises by the time I got back. But it was cool because I was a Snorlax, and that's like a Pokemon.
Do you have any pictures?
No, not currently. I hate to say it. They may be around somewhere, but not that I'm aware of. So
I think that one of the main reasons that I don't like Halloween is because I never had good Halloween experiences growing up. I was a bottle of mustard from 1st grade to 5th grade.
I love mustard.
And then after that, I had a yellow sweatshirt, and I would print out a picture of a banana, and I would tape it to the sweatshirt, and I would just be a banana.
So you were the same thing for like 5 years?
Yes, because I didn't want to dress up. I never liked makeup. I didn't like face paint. I didn't want to be uncomfortable. I've always been like comfort over style, type of person. Like I like wearing sweatpants, I don't like wearing jeans per se. And the same thing goes for Halloween. Like I don't want to be uncomfortable in a big, like, elegant costume. I'd rather just be Colin Rhoads.
But you were mustard. That's awesome.
I was mustard, and then I grew out of the suit, and it was uncomfortable.
I guess that would happen.
And he was a banana.
And then I was a banana. Yeah. I think we might have had a banana costume as well, but I think I grew out of it again, and so I just taped a picture of a banana.
Well, I appreciate the fact that despite you hating dressing up, you still managed to become a banana for Halloween.
I mean, I really didn't, though. I actually remember we went trick-or-treating one time, and the lady at the door was like, "What are you supposed to be?" And I was like, "I'm a banana. Do you not see the banana taped to my shirt?" She didn't give me candy.
Yeah, well, I don't really blame her, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't have given me candy.
You're not a banana. You're just a person with a banana on your shirt.
I would have given you less candy for sure. I would have given the other children like 3 Kit Kats. I would have given you 1.
See, this is prime examples why I hate this holiday.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friends the other night, and I was like, I don't like dressing up. And they were like, oh, you don't have to. It's your choice. And I was like, that is baloney.
Well, it's your choice, but, you know, it's also a choice on whether you want candy or not, so.
It's not a choice. You have to dress up. If you want to, like, go out or go to a party or anything, like, and you're going to show up not dressed up, good luck. Good luck at that party.
Well, I mean, you just have to not make it a big deal, I think.
You'll be criticized. No.
Not if you're awesome.
I am awesome.
True.
And
okay.
I've gone into parties, and people have been like, what are you? And I'm like, I don't really want to dress up. And they're like, oh, that's lame. And I'm like, I'm just going to go home.
Well, maybe they're trying to tell you something. Maybe they're trying to tell you it is lame not to dress up.
That's the thing, is that it is lame to not dress up. Therefore, you don't have a choice. You have to dress up.
Peer pressure.
It's either you dress up or you're lame.
Mm-hmm.
There's no in between. And I don't like that.
All right, interesting first arguments from this side of the room. Lyd, what do you think?
Okay, well, if we're starting from the beginning, you said you don't like Halloween because you don't like being scared. I think me and a large majority, not majority, but a large group of people like being scared and like seeing scary stuff. And I'm not really sure why. I guess it's like, you know, like an adrenaline thing or something. But I love seeing scary movies. And like when I went to Fright Fest at Six Flags, like whenever the people jumped out at me, I was like, but then it's kind of fun. You know, we all laughed it off afterwards. So I love that part of Halloween. And I think a lot of people do too, but there's a lot of people who don't. So I understand that part. Dressing up, I dressed up a lot when I was little, so I had fun with it. I also don't like being uncomfortable, so I get what you're saying. But like last year, I kind of just wore like a comfy outfit as my I was the Legion from Dead by Daylight, and she wears like a sweatshirt and like a skirt, so it was like a really comfortable outfit, like Halloween outfit. So I don't know.
Yeah, you could definitely find comfortable outfits. Last year I like really slacked off. I just wore my polar bear pajamas, and I just called myself a polar bear. And
that's awesome. That's perfect.
It was really nice because I got to be comfortable. I got to wear my pajamas out to a party, and then of course I go to the party, and the guy's like, "What are you supposed to be?" And I was like, "Polar bear," and he was like, "That's lame."
That's just one person saying it's lame.
It's 2 people now.
Yeah, but it's not just one person though. It's culture.
Actually, it's 3 people if you count the lady who didn't give me candy.
It's true. That's true.
These are specific instances that I've had.
And these are different people from different backgrounds, all telling you that you know you need to buy an extravagant costume to fulfill your needs to get candy or whatever.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you go to Party City. I mean, these costumes nowadays are $70, $80, $200. You know, like I was watching my friend try to buy like an astronaut costume, and it was $80, and then she was trying to recreate it, and it was like $90, and it was like, geez, man, you're gonna wear this outfit once?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. I like doing the DIY costumes though. Whenever you can like find something on Pinterest and then you just like go to Walmart and buy, and then, you know, do it yourself. I think those are fun.
They're definitely fun, but I mean, you can still get pricey with DIY, especially like
that's true.
Especially like you need like one part of the costume, like a fireman hat per se, and it's like, you know, $25.
I used to do DIY costumes a little. I'm not much of an artsy person, if you could call it that, but I did dabble in it. I think it's kind of fun, but also it's not very. I wasn't very good at it, so I never looked like the thing I was supposed to be looking like. So I mean, I kind of fell out of it, and then I fell out of dressing up for Halloween at all, and now I just live my life as Colin does, sort of neutral on the whole thing.
But you don't dress up.
No, I don't.
So you don't like the holiday?
I'm neutral on it. I kind of like the fact that everybody gets all spooky mode. You make the yards have graves and everybody's scared, like, But yeah, I don't really I'm not really a Halloween freak, and I'm not even a fan of candy really, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of grow out of candy in a way, honestly. I mean, people still love it, but we don't eat it like we used to.
No. I think the last time I went trick-or-treating was like when I was like 13, maybe before that. So.
Yeah, I mean, everyone stops.
I stopped in 2017, so it would have been 13, 14, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually went last year to the Colombian suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me and my friends got a bunch of candy.
So you were mentioning earlier, Lyd, that you do love scary movies. What's your favorite scary movie of all time?
I like Midsommar, if it counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not really horror. It's more just like a cult movie, but I think it's really well done.
I was reading reviews for Midsommar, and one of the writers put it really well. He said that the movie is so good as a scary movie because it's in broad daylight.
Yeah.
You see everything happening. There's there's jump scares, but it's not like an abandoned cabin, like pitch black. You see everything that's happening.
It doesn't rely on like shadows to
exactly.
obscure what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very interesting in that way. I have not watched it because I hate scary movies. I avoid everything scary at all costs.
See, that's what I'm saying.
But
you don't like being scared.
I can appreciate the craftsmanship of a good scary movie. I mean, I go out of my way to watch like a scary movie or two a year, but it's normally I normally make it sure that it's not anything that will make me very sad and not want to watch it anymore when they jump scare me or whatever. So, yeah.
Well, there's a big difference between like actually scary movies and then like those, I don't know what they're called,
psychological
but like
thrillers.
No, like Halloween and like
a slasher movie.
Yeah, like I think those are silly and like kind of just more comedic.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the Halloween. I don't know if you did. I think it was Halloween Kills.
Yeah,
the last one.
Yeah, I just watched
and
that
Halloween Ends is the one that came out this year.
But Halloween Kills was like funny.
Yeah,
it was like actually a funny movie, and it was meant to be funny.
Mm-hmm. I just watched Halloween Ends, and it was just like after it, we were like, "What? This was not even scary at all. This was actually pretty stupid."
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole premise for this like Halloween reboot is that I was reading up on it is that the premise of like the reboot that came out a few years ago just entitled Halloween is a sequel to the original that's 40 years later and Michael Myers is back and he's gonna kill people, like he does.
Mm-hmm.
But that idea works good as like a standalone movie, but I don't know how they managed to make it into 3 movies, a trilogy.
Well, Michael is different every year.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see. I haven't watched it.
Right?
I don't think so.
Am I thinking
but in the new one, there is someone else
as Michael, right?
There's 2. There's the original one, and then there's a new guy.
Interesting.
And it's kind of ridiculous. Also, there's like almost 15 Halloween movies.
No, exactly. There's a ton because there were like 4 in the original like thing, and then they rebooted it once. And then they rebooted it again, where Rob Zombie was the director. And then they most recently had this trilogy that just finished, that started in 2018. And then they've had, like, a few other, like, spin-off weird movies here and there. Yeah, Halloween, it's weird because the first Halloween is, like, it is a slasher movie, so it's a little like, whatever. They're dead, they're getting killed. Whoa, so crazy. But also, it is like a landmark film of its genre. It is like a classic. It was directed by John Carpenter, who also directed The Thing, which is not only my favorite horror movie, but it's also my favorite movie of all time. So it's not like it lacks craftsmanship, it's a very well done movie. But then they just kept and the horse is dead. The horse has decomposed. It is a pile of bones at this point, and yet they still keep beating it, expecting to get something new out of it. But that's film franchises for you.
Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point of your favorite scary movie versus your favorite movie, right? Because I do really think that there's like, I wouldn't call them 2 genres, but you kind of have to separate them.
Exactly.
Because there could be a horror movie that's good for a horror movie, right? Rather than actually being a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if a movie sets out to scare you and does scare you, then it does its job.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's a good movie. Like if it's a movie of like jump scare after jump scare out of jump scare, and then you get jump scared, it's like, okay, well, it did its job. You know, it's the same thing if you watch a dumb comedy. You're not expecting to get like Shakespeare out of it. You know what I'm saying? You're expecting to maybe laugh at a dumb Adam Sandler joke or two and walk away and say, I just ate some popcorn and drank some soda. What a great time. And that's all you're looking for. I think the same sort of true with scary movies sometimes.
How many good Adam Sandler movies are there?
I've actually watched a lot of Adam Sandler movies. There is maybe 2 good Adam Sandler movies. The best one is definitely Uncut Gems, which everybody says is his best because it's not a comedy. His best comedy is probably Happy Gilmore, which is the one about golf. That one's good. I haven't watched it in a few years. I've not watched Billy Madison, which people really like.
Yeah, Billy Madison is a great one.
His other serious movie, Punch Drunk Love, is all right. It made me very, very uncomfortable. But that was sort of the point, so I didn't really know how to feel about it at the end. And then Adam Sandler's Click is really, really weird, and I kind of like it, but it also is obscene and has a lot of bad jokes. So
yeah.
That's my Adam Sandler review on this Halloween special, the Respawn podcast.
I like bedtime stories.
I saw bedtime stories in theaters. I remember nothing about it.
Oh, I like it. It's good. It's a good little kid movie.
We were going to talk earlier about why is Halloween catered towards children, right?
Well, I think, I'm thinking about it in the sense that Halloween originally, when it was first becoming a thing, was based off, it was based off All Souls Day, which the whole thing is to, Day of the Dead. Those might be 2 separate things. I think they combine them together, maybe. And
so I think the Day of the Dead is the 31st, and then All Souls Day is November 1st.
Right, you're correct. Okay. Yeah, and I believe on Day of the Dead, it was tradition to give out like candied skulls already for the children. So I think that they moved that to normal candy when that became more normalized in the US. So, and because it's candy, of course, it's going to be marketed towards children. And I think that's maybe where the concept of trick-or-treating came around. I want to say trick-or-treating actually came from like a Dutch old practice. But I don't know. I mean, that's the thing with America. It's a conglomerate of a million things from a million different cultures. I learned about this like many years ago, so I don't remember the specifics. But I believe that's where trick-or-treating came from. And then, of course, with the candy and what have you, and, the Charlie Brown special and whatnot. I mean, Halloween has only become more and more marketable and more for children. But I really think it's a holiday that appeals to all age demographics to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, but you also talk about the Halloween slasher movie, right? And that's not catered towards children at all.
No, it's not. But, I mean, that's completely different. I mean, that's a movie, and
it's part of the holiday.
There's different forms of media that are all associated with Halloween that are catered for all age groups, I feel like.
That's right. I mean, I guess that goes for any holiday. But I was going to argue that I think all of the holidays, to an extent, are catered towards children.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, they all have to be, because Christmas, kids are so focused on, what they can get out of a holiday, whether it be candy, presents, more candy, what have you.
Selfish.
It is selfish of them. They should think about everybody else for a minute. But no, I mean, like, that's the thing. If you're gonna get people interested in the holiday, I mean, if children are begging parents to be like, let's celebrate Easter so I can get candy, please, I love Jesus Christ. That's a good way of getting people interested, I think. I mean, I'm not a real holiday freak. I don't really know too much about how a holiday gets big. I mean, I think it just sort of depends on religious preferences or whatnot. But I mean, you're not gonna get kids excited for Jesus Christ without candy. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, without presents. You need to bring the big guns for that.
Yeah.
That's presents right there.
That's So there you
Halloween is only a Western thing. Jay, the Korean player that we have on our team, he didn't even know what Halloween was.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we were talking about it, and Ethan was asking everybody, like, what are you dressing up as, right? And Jay was like, what are you guys talking about? He was like, is that a holiday? And we were like, yes. But he had no idea. I think he knew what it was, but he didn't know, like, what it entailed, you know?
I mean, it's probably so weird coming from an outside, like, culture, because this is something that's, I feel like it's pretty unique to like the Western culture. It's just really weird, like what you're scaring people and like getting candy for it. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and we go very hard.
Yeah.
We go very hard for it.
Yeah.
We put the gravestones out in front of the yard and like
Yeah.
you know, pretend nothing's wrong. Yeah, no, it's very normalized despite how weird it is. And I mean, that's why I think Halloween's kind of neat. I mean, like the only other time of the year where like you'll really get decorations outside is Christmas, but I mean,
it's the holiday season.
Yeah, it's the holiday season. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but Christmas is much more of a universal thing since, you know, that's a Christian thing. Well, Halloween doesn't, you know, apply to any religion. It's just kind of like, yeah, let's
just
get
a culture
scared.
thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, technically, it did apply to it was a religious thing.
As it's evolved,
yeah,
it hasn't anymore.
I mean, we have we tell a joke when we trick or treat to every house in St. Louis. Did you ever do that?
No, not at all.
Yeah, so it's just a St. Louis thing. Did you ever do this?
No, I didn't.
So in St. Louis, when you go trick or treating, you go up to the house and you don't get candy unless you tell your joke.
So what was the best joke you told? Do you remember?
I remember one. It was about the Cubs, and I said, "Why don't the Cubs have a website?"
I don't know. Why don't the Cubs have a website?
Because they can't get 3 W's in a row.
I see.
I told that joke to someone from Chicago.
Oh.
And they did not take that kindly. And once again, I was left candyless.
Oh.
I bet you got tons of wins from the Cardinal fans.
I did.
They loved that.
It was a hit or miss joke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Much like baseball.
Yeah,
that
was kind of a fun thing to do in Halloween. Everybody, like, you had to have like 3 or 4 jokes queued up, you know.
That's awesome.
Because if you went to a house and some mean old lady was like, "I already heard it," like, you best have another joke ready.
Yeah.
Or else you're not getting the Snickers bar.
My joke would have been, this is my favorite joke that I have.
Oh, really?
What's a ghost's favorite food? Gatoast. That's my joke.
I didn't like it.
I hope you enjoyed it. That's my favorite joke I have.
Do you have any other jokes?
That's my best one. If you must know.
I have one joke I always remember. What's a fish with no eyes?
What?
Fish. Yeah, I like that one.
That's a good one.
I've never heard yours, Joey.
It's a Joey original. That's why.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
No, it made sense, and it's really good. So you know, just calm down.
Joey's word is law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, spooky time also makes way for spooky video games, and there are a lot of scary video games out there, especially on Steam. What is the last scary video game you played, Lyd?
I think the last one I played was Little Nightmares 2. I'm not finished with it, but I'm liking it a lot after playing the first Little Nightmares. It's very cute. I love things that are like, they like take cute things but also make them like really scary. I don't know why. That's like my niche.
Sort of make them unsettling. Like
I love that stuff.
Cold the Lamb, Five Nights at Freddy's, stuff like that.
Did you like the doll movies?
The doll movies?
Like Chucky?
Yeah. No, not like Chucky. Like The Boy.
Like the what?
I've never
Boy.
seen that.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the movies about the dolls, the scary dolls?
I'm thinking of like Annabelle and Chucky. And
sure. Annabelle's a good one. Chucky's like funny, like.
Yeah, he's out there killing people.
I guess. I was thinking more like Coraline. Coraline is like...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sure, yeah.
That's freaky.
Coraline, despite technically being a kid's movie, I will never watch. The trailer scared me so much.
It is pretty scary.
Literally traumatizing.
You guys haven't seen it?
No, I won't watch it. My sister loved that movie, but I mean, again, when I was growing up, I did not watch scary movies. I refused to because I literally would not be able to sleep. There was one time in 6th grade, I watched the movie 2012 about the world ending, and I couldn't sleep. And I went in my mom's room, and my mom got very mad at my dad for letting me watch that movie.
I was really scared of a classic, not even a horror movie, kind of just a silly movie from the 80s called Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I walked in on my family watching that when I was 2, and I was scarred. I mean, I'm not really afraid of clowns, but I certainly was when I was 2 years old. And I remember being scared of them for like a few years after that. So there you go. Thanks, mom and dad. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I definitely get my Halloween experiences from my mom. I don't think my dad is pretty neutral. Well, he had a mask that he would always put on. It was like a scary mask. He was like Godzilla, right? And he would like scare everybody with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he had fun with it, but he would scare my mom, right?
Yeah. So scary games are interesting, right? Because there are a million, but they always seem to be able to get ground. There's always a brand new scary game out that's sweeping the market. I mean, I think the biggest example was definitely Five Nights at Freddy's, right? I mean,
For sure.
Yeah. I mean that's a giant like media empire at this point. I mean, it's transcended just video games. It's merchandise now. But I mean, like, there are a bunch of others.
They made a movie about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, kinda. Willy's Wonderland, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a really fun movie as well.
It is.
Yeah.
That is a classic. What is his name? I forget.
Nick Cage.
Yeah, that is. I can't ever forget his name. But Nick Cage doesn't say he stars in the movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't say a word.
I know, it's awesome.
Hour and a half.
He just kills Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics and is silent, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's sort of interesting. But I mean, it's not like Five Nights is the only one. I mean, there's also like Bendy and the Ink Machine. I mean, Phasmophobia has been big, but that's obviously
Slenderman
different.
Games.
Slenderman. I mean, Slenderman got his own movie too.
Yeah,
that's
OG.
That's probably bigger than Five Nights at Freddy's.
I mean, as
I'm not sure.
I think as like a recognizable
Yeah.
figure, I think for sure. If nothing else, because of the big action, big budget movie, and the fact that, you know, it was on the news when it came out, because it was like this big like controversy. I mean, it was this like, because people were really into it, since it was like the first really big like Halloween internet like I guess trend.
I mean, are you talking about the game?
I'm talking about the game, but also the entity of Slenderman himself.
Yeah,
because
do you remember like the YouTube video? Did you guys ever watch that YouTube video?
Yes,
Yeah.
I know of it. I never watched it because I was too scared, but yes.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like a scary. I mean, it might have been. I don't remember.
It was of the person running through the woods, right?
No. I'm talking about a different one. There was a different like historic YouTube video. I watched it when I was like 5.
Okay.
So this is like really, really like early YouTube even.
Yeah.
And it was a historic. I mean, this is like where Slenderman comes from. It was some guy in the war, and they took like an X-ray photo of him, and he has like 8 arms coming out of him.
Huh.
Oh.
And he was. This is like it's like the Babadook, right? It's like a legend in wartime of the Slenderman.
Well, the concept of the Slenderman, going back to the Dutch, I'm pretty sure it came from a Dutch or maybe a German like old folk legend, or at least that's how the lore goes. It might not actually be real. Of, you know,
well, it's
tall,
definitely not real.
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't think.
Are we sure?
Slenderman is out there. It's all real.
It's like Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's like Bigfoot. Nobody's ever seen him, but the evidence is there. Because if you see him, you will die. And
There's been Bigfoot sightings.
Gosh.
Yeah, for sure. And
I think this is a topic for another episode.
I believe.
Yeah, but so Slenderman was like this old, you know, like folk thing, and then I guess they made it into he has a suit now, and then in Minecraft they turned that into Enderman, so it became like this whole thing.
Is
That's
that really where?
Yeah, that's where it comes from. Yeah, it comes as
interesting.
It was basically put in as during a Halloween update. In like 2011 or 2012, so like way long ago, they added it as like a homage to Slenderman, and that's why when you look at it, it teleports behind you and then starts killing you, because that's what Slenderman does, and that's why you can't ever look at him in the face. That's the lore.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, Slenderman kind of paved the way, I guess, for all these other, you know, low budget indie horror games that have kind of taken off.
Yeah, I've been talking about Slenderman, and then what Liz said about, like, you know, when we were kids trying to get just as scared as we could, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would lock ourselves in like a dark closet, like pitch black, and give someone like mom's laptop, you know, and have them play Slenderman until they came screaming out, just to see like how scared you could get as a child. We also did like Bloody Mary in the mirror.
Yeah.
You guys remember that? It's the same thing, but I don't know. There's just something as a kid, you want to know what it's like to be like just horrified for whatever reason. It's
and
weird.
now with these new games like Five Nights at Freddy's, I don't think it was even really like aimed to target kids in the very beginning. I think it was just like a game, but then like
no way.
kids
Really?
like started loving it. I don't think so.
I mean, it's like animatronics though. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
but like it's just creepy. Like you remember going to like
Sure.
Chuck E. Cheese when you were little and being freaked out by the animatronic. I don't know.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Why did it take off? Do you think? Because it was on mobile as well as other platforms. You think? Or...
I think it took off because it was unique and it had those characters that are kind of cute and everyone thinks about.
Yeah, and then Game Theory got a hold of it,
And then Game Theory
I think
just
legitimately,
took off.
I think
Yeah.
that legitimately was a huge point because that video came out, the original Five Nights at Freddy's lore video, and now there's like 50 of them, all from
Yeah.
Game Theory, and that's sort of because Game Theory is watched by kids, I think
Yeah.
for the most part maybe. So I think that really introduced the game, and it's got lore, it's interesting, and it's scary, it'll spook you. So like I remember like on the bus ride to school when I was in like 5th grade, everybody played Five Nights on their phone, and like people would take turns passing around the phone like, don't get jump scared, or whatever.
yeah, it was funny to like laugh at someone who got scared.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think also because it had such a big YouTube presence, like everyone was playing it, and kids watch YouTube. Like, if they have access to it, they're gonna use YouTube. Like, I was babysitting these kids. I was talking about this earlier. This kid was like 3, and he had like older brothers that were like 9 or something. They put on Poppy's Playtime, and these kids were like latched onto the screen, and I was like, this game is kind of freaky, and they were like, no, I love this game. I'm like, okay.
Is that what game they were playing?
They don't play it. They just watch people play it.
Yeah.
And then they watch like the lore videos and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
they love it.
In addition to Game Theory, I know that like Markiplier playing Five Nights at Freddy's really made it take off, and other YouTubers like Jacksepticeye, etc., PewDiePie, whatever. So it's interesting because I mean, I bet a lot of kids, they don't really play games as much as they watch them. I know I'm certainly that way. So I think that's interesting. But it's also interesting what you see that'll take off, because sometimes games that are complete like jokes that are meant to be jokes will take off and suddenly become serious, like Baldi's Basics, for instance. A game that was created as a parody of these like indie horror games. And it was made at like a game jam, and then it took off and it's become a media conglomerate of its own. Or like Doki Doki Literature Club, which was meant as a parody of like visual novels, which also took off. It's really interesting. I think people just like games with lore and like weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but the more you can theorize about the game, I think the more it'll take off, which is why a lot of those have sort of become bigger, like Bendy and the Ink Machine's the same way. I don't know about Poppy's Playtime. I don't know too much about it, but
I mean, there's not really that much story, and I think that's why people just like make up their own lore, and then it just gets bigger and bigger until like they make more games, and then there's more questions to be asked. And
I guess you want something that's very detailed yet very ambiguous at the same time.
Yep.
Okay, so to get back on the topic of movies, Colin, you recently watched a movie that I alluded to a little earlier in this podcast. You watched The Thing. I already said that The Thing is my favorite movie, but what did you think of it?
I thought it was very good. I liked it a lot. It was extremely good and extremely scary for a movie that came out in the 80s.
Yes.
That was actually like very, very cool to see because you have like Star Wars coming out, and that's the only other like special effects like big movie, really. I mean, there might be other ones, but The Thing is the only other like groundbreaking one because they did all of the effects like themselves.
Yeah,
like, it was just clay. Like
it's all practical.
Yeah, practical effects, right? It's the best use of practical effects that I've ever seen. I mean, even to this day.
Yeah.
Which was really, really cool to see. The plot was it was fun, right?
Yeah.
It was very fun.
It's a really, really engaging movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any low points. It keeps you hooked from the beginning and to the end.
Speaking of the ambiguity of it all, because the ending, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want it spoiled, it came out in the 80s, so I hope you've watched it by now. But
yeah.
Skip ahead 5 minutes. But if we're talking about ambiguity, do you like how it leaves it open-ended?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So the ending of the movie, for those who are not interested or just don't know, so the main guy, Kurt Russell, and this other guy are the only two people left in the base still alive. And so the other guy, Kurt Russell, is sitting in the middle of this this snowstorm, and he's just kind of sitting there drinking because, it's all over, or so he thinks. And this guy walks up and he sits down and he doesn't say anything. And it's not known whether or not he's
he's a thing.
He's the thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Russell hands him a bottle of something, and he drinks it, and that's it. That's the end of the movie. And underneath Kurt Russell's coat, which he has on his legs, is a flamethrower, so to burn the thing if it is the thing. Mm-hmm. So it kind of becomes a question of where is it going to go from here? Mm-hmm. Does it go anywhere from here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's popular, but one of the fan theories that I heard is that the bottle that he had was full of gasoline. Mm-hmm. And so he gives it to him, and if a normal person drinks the gasoline, then it wouldn't have, he would have, reacted, right? But if the thing drinks it, then he wouldn't have known. Mm-hmm. And then right after he drinks it, Kurt Russell gives us a little, chuckle, Yeah. And, we can't really do anything with that, but we can try.
Yeah.
So that is one of the theories. It's kind of out there, but
and that's why I like that movie so much more than any other horror movie I've seen, because it feels like it's not really a horror movie. It's scary, it's atmospheric, but it feels as much like a thriller than it does a horror movie.
I was genuinely scared in the movie.
That's interesting, because I was frightened, but I was never I get very frightened very easily, but I was never frightened enough to want to pause the movie or take a lap or anything.
Look away.
Or look away or anything. Yeah, not at all. Lyd, I want to bring this to you. I know that you have not seen the movie.
I have not.
But when it comes to horror movies, you were mentioning Midsommar before. Do you think that movie sort of fulfills the same sort of niche where it's scary, it's horror, but it's not really enough to look away from?
Yeah, I mean, I like that a lot. I like whenever it's scary and freaky, but it's not killer clowns all the time. I like whenever you have to think about it. Mm-hmm. And I like movies that make you think. And going to the point about it ending kind of weirdly, I like movies and stories that aren't afraid of having a non definitive ending. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that also makes it a really good story, because Midsommar also kind of does that. It doesn't have a definitive ending, and I think especially if there's no sequels to it, it makes the audience talk about it. Mm-hmm. It creates a bunch of theories, and which is good for the movie's success. And I appreciate that in stories.
Yeah, whenever a movie does that, I always find myself looking theories up after the movie.
Right?
Yeah. What is gonna happen here? What do people think? Or did the director say something? Versus if it's just definitive, open and shut, then I'm not gonna I don't care. It's done.
Yeah,
it's out of my brain.
Story's over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any other horror movies specifically that do that though? I can't really think of anything like that, since they all seem to be tied to these big media franchises. You'll have Scream, but then you'll get 4 more Scream movies. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's the classic example is Psycho, right?
Yeah. So, I love Psycho. That's a great movie.
But the thing about Psycho is that the lawyer literally explains everything.
Yeah, at the very end of the movie, and also Psycho got 3 sequels as well. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it did. So that's a really good movie. I mean, I watched that movie just a few months ago, and that's another one I would classify similar to The Thing. First of all, they're both great movies, but I would classify them as horror, I guess. But more just straight thrillers.
Yeah, Psycho is really just a
psychological thriller. Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah.
Ends open-endedly. I'm pretty sure.
Silence of the Lambs. I tried watching that movie and I got too freaked out and I had to turn it off.
Really?
Yes, I did.
See, it's really interesting. Our scare thresholds.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even find that movie scary at all.
Huh. How about that?
I just watched it all the way through and I was like, this is fine. Whereas
Wow.
The Thing is like, I was terrified of The Thing.
That's interesting because I was not. I love The Thing, but it didn't really scare me.
It scared me.
It got me interested, but I was never actually scared by it. I was, like, for instance, in the blood scene where they're like testing the blood, I was on the edge of my seat and I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? But I was never like scared. That's so interesting.
Yeah, see, I legitimately jumped when
the blood
jumped.
Yeah.
I actually I didn't jump out of my chair, but I was like,
Yeah, you recoiled.
Yeah, I was I was flustered, one can say.
Yes.
We all need to sit down and watch it.
Oh, it? Yeah.
I've seen it before.
I haven't
You were fine with it?
Yeah, I was fine with it. So that's a different genre though of stupidity.
Yeah.
Where it's that won't scare me because I know it's not real and it's kind of stupid.
There's basically a whole subsection for all the Stephen King adaptations. Like The Shining. The Shining's a good example. I mean, that's often considered to be one of the best movies of all time. But then you'll get all the others like Pet Sematary, that sort of Stand By Me. That's not a horror movie.
Where did that get thrown in there?
Well, that's a Stephen King adaptation.
Oh, okay, sorry, sure.
But movies like that are much more. I suppose they're not as much about the scary element. I mean, they are, but they're more about sort of like the narrative in a sense.
Yeah, it's the difference between a psychological thriller and a movie just to scare you.
Yeah.
I love psychological thrillers. I love them so much. They're so much fun.
I can't watch horror, but I can watch psychological thrillers, and I can watch some of them. It sort of depends on how much thriller there is in the psychological.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Midsummer does a pretty good job of mixing both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Silence of the Lambs does that pretty well.
Lid, did you see Hereditary?
No, I still haven't seen it because no one will watch it with me.
That's
Everyone's
true.
like, it's too scary. I'm like,
everyone
I
I've
don't wanna
talked
watch
to
it by
says
myself.
either Midsummer or Hereditary is the scariest movies they've ever seen.
Hereditary is the famous one, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, though, Lid.
they're by the same director.
Yeah. Which is why I mention it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to watch that movie alone.
Everyone tells me not to watch it alone, but I'm like, I really want to see it because Midsummer is just so good.
So would you turn off the lights, get some popcorn, and watch the movie by yourself just to be scared?
I would.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, see, I would never do that.
The only way I can watch a horror movie is with the lights completely on, preferably during the day, and I'll probably also be eating popcorn, but that's besides the point.
Yeah,
I could not do it.
Yeah, for The Thing, I did. I was like, what color should I? Because I can change the lights in my room.
Yeah.
And I was like, what color should this movie be? And my friend was like, bright, because we're in Antarctica. And I was like, yes, thank God.
But actually, whenever I play scary games, that's a little bit different because.
Oh really?
Yeah. So when I play scary games, I usually have the lights on because I don't want to stop playing because those games. Okay, so the difference for me is that games, you control your character, so you're in charge of everything.
Does that make it less scary?
I think it makes it more scary, in my opinion. I am very hesitant sometimes about horror games when I don't care about scary movies. I'll watch whatever, but. Scary games are.
What's your favorite scary game?
Scary. Well, I like the 2 Outlast games. I've never played them, but I've seen playthroughs. Those are really scary. I never want to play them myself. But yeah, I also like Bendy and the Ink Machine. That was a good one.
Did you ever play Phasmophobia?
Yes. I don't think it's that scary.
Oh, that's not as scary. Well, it's a scary game.
Well,
I got quotation marks up right now.
Yeah, all those multiplayer games are really, really fun, but they're not horror, really. They're just strategy. I mean, you'll still get scared during the game, but I'm not gonna have nightmares about it.
Yeah, that's fair. A movie kind of like Dead by Daylight comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Where it's extremely competitive and strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, it's like a horror game, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, my friends and I used to grind that game hours for a day. We made it all the way to the highest ranks.
Yep.
So it was never scary enough to quit playing or anything. It's just the scariest part about it is the killer might pop out of nowhere and jump scare you.
Yeah, but for you, because you got so good, you knew exactly how the game was gonna work and run.
Yeah.
You knew what everybody did.
Yeah.
So you kind of you have control and like you know what you're doing and you know what's going to happen already before it happens. So
That's a good point.
So
For someone
couldn't
who's
have been
new,
like super scary, right?
yeah, if someone who's new to the game might be freaked out, I can understand that. Yeah.
There was another example I thought of, but I forgot. Devour. Have you played Devour?
No.
So I played Devour the other day, and I will never play a scary game again. I have a terrible fear of spiders. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm no arachnophobe.
I am an arachnophobe. So
you are?
I would also never play that game.
So I was playing it with my friends, and there's a couple of maps, and one of them is the Spider Queen map. Okay, and now picture a spider, like a life-size spider, and it's got like a head on it coming out, like half human, half spider.
Yep.
And this thing is crawling at you, chasing
No,
you
thank
around
you.
a mansion.
I would not appreciate that. I would
Yeah.
ask it to stop, and I would run away.
Yeah. So, it's faster than you.
Okay, well,
So you
I would
quit
try
the
to,
game.
I would try to stomp it and run away.
No,
It's
that doesn't-
huge, isn't it?
What?
Isn't it huge?
It is. It's huge.
Oh well.
And I'll show you the Devour jump scare after the podcast.
You don't have to do that. I would actually advise that you don't do that.
I'll buy
But
you
it's-
Devour so you
It's
play it.
very like when it catches up to you, it like actually jump scares your entire screen, and it makes like a very loud noise. It's horrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just
I can
being
imagine.
chased by that was like my heart was pounding.
I'm pretty against jump scares as like a thing. I just hate them. I think that all horror is better when there are no jump scares. I think because I watched
Oh,
Halloween.
do they scare you, Joey?
Yes, of course they do. They're meant to scare you,
Is
so
that-
yes, they would scare
in
me.
the name.
That's like asking, "Oh, you like eating food? You like getting your, belly full?" Yes.
Well-
I am scared of jump scares.
Someone who doesn't get scared by jump scares, someone who can handle them, they might like them.
Well, my brother's like that. My brother's a real scary movie freak, and I judge him for it. I do. He loves all horror movies, and he loves figuring out what the best ones are. But his favorite horror movie is like Psycho, which once again, psychological horror, not the same thing. But he loves the first Saw movie that doesn't have any jump scares in it. He loves the stuff that doesn't have to rely on the cheap horror of jump scares, and that's what I like about The Thing. The Thing doesn't have any jump scares. It's great. I love it.
It jump scared me.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. But yeah.
I understand what you're
I
saying.
think there's another important genre of horror movies we could talk about, which is the Jordan Peele movies.
Yes, it's good.
Nope just came out. I haven't seen it yet.
Mhm.
However, apparently it's very political. And his previous movies were as well, like Get Out. It was Get Out, and then what was the other one?
Us.
Yes. And those were both really, really good movies.
Yep.
But it was kind of like a different kind of terror, right? That
Yeah.
he does.
It's definitely a lot more focused on the atmosphere in all the different movies
Yeah.
from what I can tell. It's a lot about the sort of world building. So the world building in Get Out, for instance, is really, really unique. I have not seen Us, and I haven't seen Nope either. But Nope takes place on like a cattle ranch, so it's completely different from the average horror movie. And Get Out took place on like a former plantation, so it's also completely different.
Yeah, I like how you bring up world building because it's kind of the world building itself and like the ideologies that these people have that is the terror aspect of it, right? Have you seen these movies, Lid?
No, I've heard about Nope. So I read a little bit about it, but I haven't seen it. They sound like good movies.
Yeah, I mean, if
like,
you guys haven't seen Us or Get Out, you really should.
Yeah, I've seen Get Out. I have, and I was scared by it. So
Yeah, Us is just as good, if not even better. It's probably not better, but very, very good movie.
I haven't seen Get Out in many years. I saw it like a year after it came out, and it came out in like 2015 or something like that. So it's been a minute. But I did like it. I didn't like the ending too much, but that's besides the point. I think that the fact that those movies are coming out though, and like they are just like these movies that everybody has their eyes on are good because it's different. It's a different way to approach horror, and I like that because these movies like Halloween Ends and Friday the 13th, the reboot or whatnot. They don't pick up the traction. They're these huge, triple budget, whatever, huge movies with $1 million budgets. But I mean, nobody cares about they're dispensable. It's like what we were saying earlier. Like, you go in, you get scared a few times, and then you eat your popcorn and you leave. Well, what I like about the Jordan Peele movies is that they're actually like there's a method behind the madness.
Yeah, there's so much depth to it.
There's depth to it.
There's
Exactly.
so much to
Exactly.
movies.
And I think that's harder to do for like video games, because video games inherently are you playing the experience. But I think games can be scary, but they can also have depth to it. For instance, it's more of a psychological horror, but I know that your favorite game of all time, Lid, is BioShock.
Yes.
And BioShock definitely has scary elements to it.
Yeah, it is pretty freaky sometimes.
I mean, I played BioShock and I was scared by it, very scared.
That one like mannequin.
Yeah, the mannequin.
Oh my god, that's
terrifying.
Yeah,
terrifying.
So scary.
What mannequin? Explain.
There's like a part in the game where you're walking through this building. I don't really remember where, but there's like these mannequins that are just like really creepy looking. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if they move or not, but
I thought they did. Maybe they don't.
And then the siren heads are in that.
The siren, yeah.
Yep.
And there's also a scene pretty early on in the game where there's this doctor who is like rearranging faces and basically doing like plastic surgery, but he's like killing them, right, or something, and like making them like deformed monstrosities, and it's really, really cool, really, really unique, and that's what I like the atmosphere most about horror. I keep going back to Halloween because I watched it recently. The 1978 movie, the original, about, I don't know, 3/5 of the movie is just setting things up. Like, it's basically the characters that are going to be killed walking around, talking, going about their day-to-day life before the night of Halloween, and then Michael Myers is just in the background, and you hear like the piano riff, and that's like that's the guy who's gonna kill them, or they'll be driving down the road and they'll be listening to some music, and then in the background Michael Myers' car pulls up and is just following them. So I thought that was really cool. It's obviously not like, it's not scary, but it's really atmospheric, and that's something I feel like, I mean, horror as a genre, of course, is going to have that, but I like the atmosphere when it's more than, a dark hallway or a dark alley or a dark mansion or a dark, what have you.
I agree. It's like in Outlast 2, there's like 2 stories going on, and then just like the scariness is kind of like an afterthought. I feel like do you know about that game at all? There's like...
I don't know about the atmosphere.
Tell us about it.
Okay, well, there's the one story is like the guy, his wife gets kidnapped by like this cult, and so he's trying to find her. But then while that's happening, you also play as him when he's younger in like a Catholic school. So you walk through the creepy Catholic school, and then there's like some like abuse stories in that where you've kind of like just watch it happen, and then in between there's like jump scares and creepy guys and all that, but I think the stories are like what made it such a memorable game.
Yeah, you can do a lot with stories, I guess. There's the Netflix show about the Haunting of Hill House is what I'm thinking of. That show got a lot of praise because it's like subtle horror almost, but the story is really, really deep and really, really good.
Well, why people first originally liked American Horror Story my brother was a huge fan of American Horror Story for like the first few seasons, because it wasn't, it was scary and meant to be scary, but it also, it was a different atmosphere per season. It was a different setting, it was different characters, and they built up the characters. While I think nowadays it's just kind of whatever. It kind of became generic, but
they did it too much, I guess.
Yeah, they did it too much. It lost the luster. And now it's just, one of a million horror shows out there.
Yeah, it is sad to see, actually, because that was the horror show for sure.
That's the interesting thing about horror, like as a staple, is that, and I kind of touched on it earlier, but I'm gonna go back to it, is that horror movies just don't know when to quit. They will make sequel after sequel after sequel, reboot after. I'm fine with reboots, but sequels to a standalone movie is what makes me mad.
They're almost like money grabbing Halloween itself, right? Because people want to go to the movie theater and they want to get scared. And so if you make a really bad movie and it scares you, people are going to go and watch your movie.
Yeah, it's almost like the equivalent of them making a million Christmas Hallmark movies a year, because people are going to want to sit down and watch, something that will make them be like, yay, Christmas, and love wins, or whatever.
I mean, I didn't go to the movie theater to watch Halloween Kills to watch a good movie.
You bootlegged it?
No, I paid for the tickets.
Oh, okay.
I just watched... I went to see it because it was Halloween, not for a good movie. It wasn't a good movie.
You go in to eat the popcorn, get scared a little, and leave.
You are who we're talking about.
Yeah. I like new things. I like unique things.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a new... You're not going to be scared by the same movie. You want a new scary movie.
Well, speak for yourself, maybe, but yeah. In theory.
So I want to go back real quick to the world building and the Thing real quick, because the Thing also does a very, very unique thing with world building because it's untrust, right? And it's like fear of the Thing, but also fear of each other, right? So no one can trust anyone in this world, and that is very unsettling.
Yes.
Is it like Among Us?
It is like Among Us. It is literally what Among Us is based off of, is the thing.
Really?
Like when your heart starts, like when you're playing Among Us and you're like one-on-one with someone else and you're both like doing the generator and your heart starts pounding, Yeah. It's like, that's like that movie in a nutshell.
Except better.
Except way better.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
It's hard to believe.
You can't trust anyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You may not know this, Colin. The Thing, the 80s movie, was based off a 50s movie. A direct remake of that.
And that's what Among Us came from.
And then they made another reboot sequel in 2011. And that was really bad because you know what they did? They took all the practical effects and they made it into CGI instead. And CGI, from 2011 does not look good anymore. No. So they try to make it really scary, and it's basically, it hits on basically all the same plot points as the 80s one, but it's just with CGI instead, and it just doesn't look good.
That's kind of dumb. Among Us is actually a pretty neat horror example because it's not.
Don't call it horror.
I wouldn't call it horror.
Exactly. That's why it's a neat example, because it's not horror, but it's still scary. Like, you will still get scared when you play the game. You'll still have like the adrenaline rush. I mean, when you first played it. Come on.
I think it was just you, Colin.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I was the only one. I was playing Among Us with my lights off.
I think we found what niche scares you the most, and that's when you can't trust people and they might kill you.
Yeah, like faking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess. No, Among Us did not scare me. I must admit.
All right, whatever. We
but,
can cut this.
No, I don't know. I don't know. If it makes it into the final cut, I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's editing this, but they might be very smart.
I'll have to have the last edits on it. So.
Yeah. So I do want to say one final thing before we go, and that is that overall, horror is dumb, and they should make it better.
I agree with Joey.
Lyd?
No, I don't agree. I think it's good. What do you mean horror is not good?
Because it relies too much on the cheap stuff. It doesn't build on itself as a genre when it comes to basically all mediums.
No, you gotta watch the better horror movies.
Well,
you're watching the dumb ones.
The better horror genre, or the better horror movies.
Look, I'm not praising the bad ones like Halloween. I'm praising Midsummer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Midsummer is the ones that we like.
Yeah, and there were not enough Midsummers, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
they're getting better.
I
mean, as I touched on with the Jordan Peele movies, I mean, it's like, it's cool that there's, movies that are being released that are scary, but also have deeper meaning to it. But at the same time, for every Jordan Peele movie that you're getting once every 3 years, you're going to get like 15 cheap horror movies.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But also, there is an audience that really likes those cheap horror movies. I don't know why, but
yeah, I mean, it's the same audience that loves
the Hallmark movies.
The Hallmark movies or the Adam Sandler movies or what have you.
Both can stay.
Yeah, I mean, both can stay, but they need to do better.
Okay,
maybe.
Fair enough.
I mean, do they though? Because if they do better, then that audience is like, where's my bad movie, you know?
Well, if they do better, I don't think people are gonna rush out the theater because Halloween was scarier than they were expecting. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but people on Christmas would actually be mad if there wasn't like a new bad Hallmark movie.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it is. I think if you made one really good Hallmark Christmas movie, I think people would not complain.
I don't think you can say good Hallmark movie. I don't think those two words coincide.
I don't know. I've seen. Believe me, I've watched some good Hallmark movies in my time. They can be fantastic. They can hit that. But that's for the Christmas episode.
Yeah. So I do want to say this as well with Halloween because I don't like it. Mm-hmm. Halloween is the holiday right before Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yep.
And that is unfortunate for Halloween.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Thanksgiving, Christmas are undoubtedly the best times of the year, the best two holidays.
And you know, Christmas marketing's already started too. There's already Amazon ads playing for, you know, the most wonderful time of the year or whatever.
The tree's been up since July.
Yeah. I knew people like that in high school. I did.
My dad is literally like I'm not joking. The tree's actually up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's he usually puts it up like mid-October.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I had a customer yesterday. She works at Bath and Body Works. They make her wear like a Christmas apron, but she was wearing like Halloween accessories. She was like, "They're making me wear the Christmas stuff. Yeah, I don't want to wear it. It's
cover
still
all
Halloween."
Your bases. Oh my god.
I thought that she was funny.
That's awful. Yeah, but anyways, sucks for Halloween. If it was in a different time of the year, maybe. But I mean, all I can think about on October 31st is November 1st.
Okay, but it's not just the day. It's the whole like month and a half leading to it.
Leading to Halloween?
Yeah, leading to Halloween. I've been in the Halloween spirit.
That's fair. I mean, I guess I just don't have a lot of Halloween spirit. So my Halloween spirit starts like on October 31st and ends on
that
October
night.
31st.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I've learned from this podcast is I am more like Colin when it comes to Halloween than I am like you, Lib.
I think you're a hater, Joe.
I think I am a hater. That's what I'm learning.
I think you're both haters. And
Maybe so.
Halloween is good.
Definitely a hater. Let us know in the comments below.
Are you a hater?
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Well, that's another good question. Have you seen him? We need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the Respawn Podcast, Lydia. Thank you for being my co-host as always, Colin. And yeah, let us know what you think in the comment section below. I want you to tell us what you want us to talk about in the future. And I think that'll do it. Hey, comment on YouTube, share on podcast places, and let us know what's on your mind. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Man, we really need to work on that outro. Whatever.